Welcome to the Spiritual Geek Podcast, Wisdom for Modern Times, where we focus on living with intention to consciously create a life you love and celebrate. I'm your host, Sheila Franzen, and I'm so excited to share another episode with you. Today, Brad has joined me for a conversation about Orgonite. Brad's a spiritual seeker dedicated to the ascension journey. As a student of metaphysical energy and alchemy, he's drawn to creating energy devices such as Orgonite and facilitating energy healing sessions together with his higher self. Thank you for joining us. This is the second half of the conversation that Brad and I had about Orgonite. We're glad that you're back to listen and enjoy this conversation where we start out talking about the ingredients of Orgonite. What else don't we know about Orgonite? You mentioned the ingredients. Like what goes into, why are these ingredients what goes into Orgonite?
So the basic ingredients that you want is quartz crystals and some kind of metal. You see a lot of people even use steel wool and a quartz point for, say, a tower buster. So you want the quartz crystals because it's piezoelectrical. So that's where the real energetic effect, let's say, is coming from. Is when the resin cures, it compresses against the quartz crystal and the metals, copper, brass, whatever it might be, and that causes the energetic effect, the piezoelectrical effect. There's all kinds of ingredients you can use. You see a lot of pyramids out there, for example, or Orgonite pieces, pendants, whatever they might be, that have a variety of crystals in it. You definitely want to stick with piezoelectrical ones, particularly quartz and the quartz family, for it to be made correctly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Orgonite with a lot of different crystals in it. So I'm guessing just adding those other crystals brings in some of the energy of those crystals and amplifies things.
Yes. Yeah. So the other crystals you'll see in there is mainly for that, the energies of those particular stones being brought into the mixture, let's say, of the pyramid, for example.
And how about the metals? So I guess they're the conductors you've mentioned, right? So
yes. So the metals are the conductors. It assists in pulling in the lower vibrational frequencies into the Orgonite, so this way they can be purified and then sent back out. I've also been learning recently that in gardens you can place copper coils, because the copper, I see people putting them on like a stick and coiling them up into the 6 feet into the air or whatever, because it helps with had to do with like the electrical, the energetic effect of the land on your food. So it's kind of the same thing with the metals, the energetic effect that a conductor such as metal has on the surrounding area. So it's going to help to conduct the energies. And there's all kinds of metals that people use. Like I said, some people I've seen use steel wool or steel shavings, brass. I prefer to use copper. I have used brass in the past, but I haven't in a while. I mainly use I get shavings, from a place that works with superconductor. What a superconductor with the shavings are, it's copper, niobium, and titanium. So what he does is you'll see these long shafts of copper, and if you cut them open, you'll see like a grid form on the inside of the niobium and titanium. So what he does is he just, as he cuts whatever pieces out for jewelry or whatever he's selling them for, little pendants or whatever a person's buying, and then they turn that into an item, he'll save the shavings for me. And it's copper, like I said, copper, niobium, and titanium. So that's what I primarily use. But there's a list of metals you can use, as long as you have some form of metal and piezoelectrical crystal in there, and then the resin to compress on it. You're off to a good start.
Well, and it plays into a little bit of this concept of you're really creating a little electrical device, right? A little self-contained electrical device. There's a reason we use copper for transmitting electricity.
Yes.
And electricity is a form of energy that we're moving through wires that we've discovered all kinds of amazing things to do with electricity. And so that's the aspect of, what Reich was doing with Orgone energy, and then taking it and putting it into something portable that can be used. Like, I don't know, it's so cool. Like it's really sophisticated and yet really simple. And
absolutely. And I think we're only going to discover more and more uses or effects that it has on our person or our environment. I think it's just a lack of studying it and or a lack of measuring it to see exactly what else it's doing. It would be nice to have the eyes to see, so to speak, to be able to see all the play of energy.
Right. Well, and we've become so accustomed in this modern, somewhat disconnected world that we have to have everything proven to us.
Yes.
Yet there are so many things that we take for granted and we don't even question. I could go down many paths in the medical system of how we don't question anything, but we'll question everything related to something like that's new or something we don't know about or something we haven't seen. And our challenge is there actually is tons of research of how this helps. But I would also, like you mentioned, a refrigerator and having one in your refrigerator. How else are you using Orgonite that like people wouldn't generally think of? Yeah. How do you use it every day?
Well, my house is filled with it because I make it. And if I make it just as a passion. So if I have an idea to make something, I'll make it, providing I have the materials. And so for in my house, I have it everywhere. Anything that isn't going out for a customer or something anyways. But you can, like I said, you can place it in your fridge. You can place it on your countertop. So you can, on your countertop, it's going to have an effect in your, say, kitchen, but then you can place your food on it. Bananas, apples, bag of apples, whatever it is, jug of water, any kind of food item like that. You can place it under your couch. Like if there's a place where you sit every day, if you can fit a plate under there or a pyramid, providing, depending on the size of the pyramid and the couch or chair you're sitting on, place it underneath of there, or get something that can hang. I make some pieces that are like an octahedron, and you can hang it in the corner of a room or hang it somewhere above you where you're going to be sitting regularly. Or you can place it in your bedroom by your nightstand, under your bed, between your mattresses. Place it in your bathroom when you're having a shower. And the shower is a great place to cleanse your energy. The water is a conductor as well. So you're going to want to keep that area, not just yourself cleansed, but the area where you do your cleansing and you're regularly in. You want to keep the space there clear as well. So the Orgonite in, say, your bathroom, for example, or a meditation space, room, whatever it might be, is another great place. Your kids' rooms, under a baby's crib, for example, under your kid's bed. You can place it near your washer and dryer. You place your dirty clothes in there that have all your energy, all your thoughts and your emotions on your clothes going into the washing machine and then going into the dryer. You can keep a piece there to help keep those energies clean. There really is endless. You can place them by a door, above a door, underneath your front step if you can get one underneath, or just beside the door, so it keeps that area. People are constantly coming in and out. That's an entry point or an exit point. So the energies there can accumulate. So it can help the flow of energies roll better in and out. It really is innumerable. Like any place you're going to be regular, you can place a piece. Your kitchen cupboards, like I said about your fridge, you can put them in your cupboards where your food is, your dry food.
I think the list, I love it though, because I think a lot of people look at Organite and they're like, I don't need it. It's just another thing. Exactly. And it's like, no, you need it. You need it. Everybody needs some Organite.
That reminds me, I have it's like a small countertop size water cooler. I have a flower of life plate underneath of it. So all that water in that gets put into there and filters through it. It has an Organite plate sitting underneath of it. So every time one of us is having a drink, that water's sitting there being cleared and energized the whole time.
Yeah, I have little charging plates that I set my water on my desk for that reason. Like I love that. The other couple of things I've done that I find super beneficial are when I travel, particularly airplanes. Because one of the things that another person I worked with, he had done a ton of research around how much EMF is in our atmosphere. because of all the satellites and everything else, right? I mean, you think about those are signals moving back and forth everywhere all the time, right? Everything coming off the plane to communicate with the central towers. So wearing an Orgonite pendant when you travel for when you're on an airplane is it makes a huge difference. Like when I used to travel a lot, and when I'd forget it, I'd feel very much more disrupted or not balanced when I got off the plane. Like it was much harder to kind of reorient to the time zone or wherever I was at. And wearing an Orgonite pendant traveling was, I mean, it's just still part of my routine that I'm like, I always wear one. I try to get my family to wear one. Like it really helps. It makes a big difference.
And that makes sense because those are high stress areas too. There's a lot of people that are, you know, they don't want to miss their flight. They're nervous. They're maybe a little upset or scared of flying. And who knows what they're dealing with that day or that week. So there's a huge variety of energies that people are being bombarded with, like people's energies so that just adds to the mix. So definitely wearing a pendant can help keep you aligned and filtered.
Well, and I think sometimes people put on, people can be hesitant, particularly if you're in this space of energy work and energy healing and the new age world and whatever language you want to use for it today, self-care, self-improvement, that, like crystals, if they aren't clear and balanced, can feel overwhelming to wear. And I think some people sometimes find that with Orgonite even, because what's happening is it is creating alignment, and that alignment sometimes doesn't feel great. So it's a reminder, maybe just, if you have an Orgonite pendant and you haven't put it on because you're like, oh, I didn't feel great. Well, maybe just wear it an hour a day, or try wearing it,
maybe it was
increasing the time.
You're not, the shift in energy is affecting you, and you think it's something negative happening. It's kind of like with a lot of high vibrational crystals. Like a lot of people will gravitate towards, say, moldavite, but I actually find, in my experience, in my opinion, a lot of the people that gravitate towards those crystals should probably stay away from those crystals, because it's creating such an energetic shift for them that they don't know how to deal with going from point A to point D and the little steps in between on how they're feeling energetically.
Right. So if you feel like it's too much, listen to your body, listen to your heart, and just take it slower, right? It's an adaptation process to get used to the energy. And then you feel better, right? That's the power of the clearing, and then you feel better. I also had the opportunity, we had some new construction that we did, and there was an electrical panel, and I actually took a bunch of Orgonite tower busters and a fairly large Orgonite plate, and I put it on the back of the electrical panel, above it and below it. And so, if you have the opportunity that you're ever part of new construction, anyone picking up a bunch of tower busters or getting some tower busters, or Orgonite and putting it in your walls. I also put crystals in all the walls and all the corners. Put quartz in the house. And so, so that was really fun. I was guided to do that. And that house, everybody who comes to visit that's sensitive to energy, they're like, this house is so calm. I'm like, yeah, it should be. So it's really fun. So Brad, we probably ought to bring this to closure, although we could probably keep talking about more things to do with Orgonite.
Oh, for sure.
What would you like to share with people about the Orgonite that you create? There's so much Orgonite out there. What makes what yours is unique? What do you bring to it? How can they find you?
Okay, so like you said, there's all kinds of Orgonite out there, and if you're going to buy, I would take time and just look into it. Don't necessarily jump on the first thing you see. And there's, like I said, there's all kinds of people out there making it. See what they're about, learn about them, and try and, if you're energy sensitive, if you can get your hands on a piece first, that's great. If not, try and communicate with the person and maybe ask some questions. What are they doing? What's in it? Just to learn a bit more. Because again, not everybody is energy sensitive. For my pieces, I work with, I try to stay with, as far as shavings go, the copper, niobium, and titanium. I don't use steel or copper, I don't use steel or steel wool. I find I gravitate more towards the copper because of its, I feel it has more of a purity with the way it conducts the energy, its own energy. And it's just a higher vibrational metal for me. And that's the pathway I try to tend to, is with higher vibrational items going in. Definitely, and like I said, definitely with quartz crystals as well. They have to be in there, which is a good question to ask people if they have quartz crystals in there, piezoelectrical crystals. So with my stuff that I make, and I've experimented a lot with the layers and not layers. As I expressed earlier with tower busters, there's no layers with tower busters, but they still work just fine. So with my stuff, my goal is to bridge the physical and the metaphysical together, because I don't just mix a bunch of ingredients together and pour it into a mold, or do the layers and put it into a mold. I clear the energies of everything I work with. I keep my space clear. I will also infuse the pieces afterwards with energy. Not every piece, and definitely upon request, I will do that. But everything is getting cleared and energized. The ingredients are getting cleared and energized to raise the vibration of them before even using them in a piece, in a pendant or a pyramid or a plate or whatever it might be. And I find that state that they are in before being used and as they're being used, it just lends so much more power and energy to the process and to the final product. And what else I'm doing is I'm working on bringing more. There's a lot of appealing pieces out there to the eye, but if you're energy sensitive, you'll feel that they may not carry that much energy to them. So what I'm working on as well is bridging that together, because this way you can have a nice, beautiful piece in your living room on a coffee table or whatever. It can be a centerpiece. And it looks great to the eye, but at the same time, it's also energetically, it's a powerhouse. So like with my pendants, I've been working on a lot with various stones, patterning, but then I make sure the ingredients that are going in are all high vibrational. They're the right types of ingredients going in. And I've worked a lot on using, say, colors, for example, just to bring something a little bit more appealing to the eye, but energetically it's still packing a punch. And same with my pyramids and stuff. I've found ways of making pyramids where you look at them and you wouldn't quite know they're Orgonite, but I've found a way of hiding the Orgonite inside of it.
Hmm. Well, that is, there is so much Orgonite out there. People have taken to this beautiful art of it. I think what Brad brings, having known Brad a while and experienced his Orgonite personally, I have quite a few pieces around my home and my office and my living space. I'll be adding one to my refrigerator. There is a clarity of energy, and it's important, right? You can check in and trust that your heartfelt experience when you look at Orgonite, but make sure it feels good, because if you just focus on how it looks and you don't connect in with your heart of if it's going to be right for you and your home, then you're going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So thank you, Brad. It really has been a lot of fun. We actually talked longer than we've talked a long time. Thank you for all those that.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. For all those that have stuck around to the end here. I'm going to close things out. You can find Brad at bluefirealchemy.com. The links are in all the podcast descriptions. So check out his work and what he has available on his website. You've just listened to the Spiritual Geek Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to share a comment and a rating on your favorite podcast platform. If you were inspired, consider sharing with friends and family. Love and light to you, and may your day be filled with joy and wisdom as you consciously create your life.